And okay, thank you for attending. This workshop is all about going beyond reuse to start to explore repair and remanufacture. You're all here because you want to improve circular economy in your organisation. You might even have a circular economy strategy, but if not, then it's definitely part of your net zero strategy. For example, there's a big part in the NHS net zero strategy around the refurbishment and repair of medical devices. That gets a specific mention in the net zero strategy because of the carbon savings that can be made. Those carbon savings, just like reuse, those carbon savings come from an extension of the lifespan of the product. So when you extend the lifespan of a product, you don't need to buy a new one, which then prevents the manufacture of a new one, which then obviously, well, not obviously, but then reduces the carbon emissions associated with manufacture, which are energy and transport. So, you're all Reworked customers, so you're all getting your head around reuse and reusing products and expanding the lifespan that way. But you've obviously noticed within your waste stream that there's also other opportunities for repair, reupholster, upcycling, and it's quite well established to upholster and repair operators' chairs. You might already have a third party who does that process. So there's already some activity happening. For sure, if you search Google, you'll be able to find a supplier who'll refurbish operators' chairs, within your region at least. Who we've got? Even down in Dorset, Steve, I think you've probably got suppliers in Bristol who could do that for you. Certainly in the London and the southeast. Northwest, yes, I see Sean's in, so I know there's a supplier in the Northwest called Coggins Group that can reupholster chairs. And also, we've within my network of customers and organisations that I talk to, I also see organisations who are repairing IT equipment, and that happens on various scales. Like the IT equipment can go out to a third party, get upgraded, repaired, and sent back into the system. Or I've also seen where there's actually in-house repair teams, whereby they have, the skills and tools and resources and education to be able to repair their own electronics. Hi, Louise. You've not missed much. I'm just doing an intro.
Okay.
And then, I think you've probably got, all of you, some sort of repair going on, especially in the NHS around disability aids. I've spoken to customers whereby, they're doing that in-house already. So this sort of rambling introduction really is to just set the scene, to sort of remind people that this is starting to happen, and that, once you've kind of got your head around reuse, then repair is the next thing to kind of aim for. Before we jump in and start exploring the different issues, has anybody got any comments around repair internally they'd like to just raise and discuss? Is there any repair or upgrades going on within your organisation at the moment?
Steve here, Daniel. Yeah, we're just starting going down this route of reupholstering. Part of it is obviously to move away from soft furnishings to more of a COVID-friendly material and surface.
Yeah.
So it is something that we're doing, and obviously what we're trying to also do is link in with procurement again to say review your request for replacement, and we'll see if we can either support it existing from Warpit or whether or not there's a cost efficiency by reupholstering what is to be replaced, if you like. So but we're only just starting on that journey. But you're right, we have gone out locally and started to talk to some of the local companies out there, so particularly the small and medium enterprises, because obviously that's an opportunity for them as well. So
that's good. That's really good to hear. Would you be interested in developing those skills internally, or would you be going to a third party, or both?
I think at the moment it's probably third party, but I mean, interesting what you said about the medical aids. I mean, we have an in-house wheelchair service that does sort of all the fitting of wheelchairs for patients, and obviously predominantly they do all of their own sort of repairs, and we've already started having a conversation with them about an extended skill set. What else can they do that might fit in quite nicely to what we're trying to achieve, and what they're also is within their competency level. So there's some scope there. I mean, obviously in an ideal world we'd obviously be looking to increase our workforce, but I think we're a long way from that yet. But I think going forward it may well be part of this journey we're on, as part of the whole Warpit, reuse, recycle, etc. That we're looking at. So
yeah, you raised a couple of good points there. So there's a need to explore what are the items that can be refurbished easily in-house or externally. So obviously we're targeting chairs and desks at the moment. There's a lot of desks get remodeled as well, and then also whether those skills might already even exist internally already. Within the sort of facilities skill group. There might be a joiner. There might already be the same upholstery skills being used for other things. Sean, would you like to comment?
Hi, yes. Just saying, I've just put in the chat that I finally produced a reupholstery SOP for our trust, which was launched a few weeks ago and has been really successful. The supplier that we use is a local company, and he's been inundated with requests, which is really good. So it was just a basic SOP, which then had, I don't know if other people use it, it's like an InfoPath form, which is like an electronic form, which staff fill in and add photos to, send it to the accommodation manager who manages this contract, and then she passes it on to the supplier, and he provides a quote based on this. And then as part of that form, they have to fill in sections of it that include where they're going to pick up the items from, etc., etc. And it does seem to be working really well, because we've just highlighted it and sent it out to all the divisional directors, and then it's been on our local comms for the intranet as well, and it just seems to be working really well. The only thing we don't have is a specific system for repairing things like tables and chairs and things like that, mainly because we just don't have the storage space for them. But it is something that going forward we will be looking at.
This is great. So two things. That form, we could explore building that into the Warpit system, so that when that item goes off to get repaired, the person repairing it, let's call them him or her, let's call them contractor X, they do the job, put it back in a Warpit, and then you grab the carbon saving and the waste saving as well.
Yeah.
So we could, that's kind of where we can get to. So that's a really good point and a really good simple way of doing things. The next thing is like, what items are going to be reworked, because each one's going to take different skills, isn't it?
What we did was I've put a list on of the sort of things that could be sent to this upholsterer in particular, and they just then also need to mention the type of fabric that they want to use, which currently obviously is mainly the white clean vinyl and the colours and things like that. And then the supplier just deals with the person directly, and they're the point of contact, if you like. So they make all the arrangements themselves via our stores, where there's a loading bay for him to pick up and drop off. So it does seem to be working quite well. So I am really pleased with it.
That's really good. Anyone got any questions for Sean around that? Because I know that'll link in with a lot of people.
Yeah, I was just going to say to Sean, the company we deal with, they can actually do some of the jobs on site. I mean, they are a third-party company, but things like refurbishment of some of the chairs, depending upon the type of chair, they can actually do on site. So what we've had a conversation with them is, if we get a number together, they reckon they can probably do about 10 a day.
Right.
So they just need some space to be able to work in, really. So
that's the problem, is we don't have anywhere, unfortunately. So that's why we've sort of gone down this route, really. And we do need to ensure that we don't have items left in our stores for any period of time, because they've got so much stuff coming in and out of that area that, you know, they let us do it and let things be collected from there, because it makes it easier, but it's on the proviso that they're not hanging around for any period of time, because they just simply don't have the space, which is pretty much like every other site, really, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the enemy, isn't it? The lack of space. Yeah. Because these things that need to be repaired just end up going out into the waste yard. Yeah. And being skipped.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
But on another note, we're having about 500 beds replaced currently throughout the Royal Preston site, and working with the portering manager, he's managed to get the company who are bringing the new beds in to take the old beds away as part of the contract.
Do you know what they're doing with them?
There is a cost to it.
Is there a cost? Because we can probably do that for free, you know.
Well, I think the issue is that we wanted vehicles to be leaving site with beds in them, rather than the empty vehicles going back and another vehicle having to come in from a sustainability point of view.
It's just we're doing a hospital at the moment in Sierra Leone, doing a whole hospital.
Right.
So, I mean, if they could even drop it, we could work together with that contractor and make sure that they ended up in a good place.
They can. They're electric. Does that matter?
I can't answer that. It probably will matter at some point when you find that out. So if we can discuss this afterwards.
No problem.
But that'd be great.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions for Sean on this process?
Hi, Sean. Sorry, I've just dropped you my email there. If you are able to share that SOP, that'd be fantastic. So, at University just now, we're looking at trying to build into this. We're probably quite fortunate, given that we've got a sort of slightly off-site storage facility at the moment, where furniture is currently essentially dumped. But the hope is to renovate that over the course of the next year, and I'm hoping to set up a corner where we can actually start to look at repair and remanufacture. So that's really the first step of it, trying to get the procedures in place, and then hopefully start to upskill the guys.
I don't see any reason why not, but I just need to check with my manager.
Of course,
and I'm not sure how the InfoPath form will work, because I don't think I can share that with you, but what I might be able to do is share my questions and sections that I wrote down that needed to go on it, if you get what I mean, for you to create your own form, basically.
Brilliant, it'd be a great restarter. It's good to see that people are already starting this. One of the difficulties we're having just now is on the university frameworks. There is a lot just now for repair and remanufacture that's accessible to us, but I'm told it's very underutilised, and unfortunately a lot of the reuse organisations are not based in Scotland. So it becomes quite a task trying to logistically look at either getting them up for a day or two to do some repair, or ship things down to then ship them back up again. So still trying to explore options.
It's also finding the right supplier as well, because the trust had an older gentleman previously doing the reupholstery who didn't use email, didn't use mobile phones, so it was always him having to come out to site, and then there was a long period of time with no communication, so staff were getting really disinterested in the process, whereas this new company, they're used to doing refurbishing sort of large-scale pubs and nightclubs, and so they can do quite a lot of work in a short period of time. So this has been really good for the staff, because they see a quick turnover of the items as well, because in many cases they actually don't have a replacement for the item that's being taken away. So it is working really well currently. So I am really pleased because a lot of hard work's gone into it. So it's nice to see, the gains from that.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that's part of the bonus for us, really. If we can tie this into Workit, Daniel, then we can start to see the actual recorded savings in terms of carbon costs. Which otherwise would have been skipped. Certainly, Daniel, if you've got any contacts sort of north of the border in Scotland that are doing any kind of repair and reupholstery at the moment, by all means, pass those over as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, do you want to mention that contractor as well that you're using?
I can, but he's Blackpool based, so I don't know whether that's of any use.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But I can do, if you need his details, I can speak to him and ask him how far he travels.
Yeah.
If that helps.
Sounds like the perfect thing would be somebody with a big van who could do the repairs, the upgrades in the back of the van, bit by bit.
Yeah, I don't think he can do that. I think everything has to go back to his unit, unfortunately. Okay. But he is very local because we're Preston and Chorley, so it works fine for us.
Great. So how things work on Warpit at the moment is you can actually there is a disposal route for Warpit. So instead of the asset, when you add an asset, instead of it going live, you can fix it so it selects requires refurbishment, and it'll go to your refurbishment email address. That's within the system already. So after this session, I'll send out a blog post with a video to it, and I'll link out to how that works. So I might as well share my screen now, really. Let me just am I logged in? Let me show you. So at the moment, you can't do that and actually grab details about that asset and send it to a specific email address. But the purpose of this session is really to tweak that and fix it so that it works for you. Let me share my screen. While I'm sharing my screen, has anybody got any more questions for Sean? Please fire away if you have.
I put my email on the chat anyway, Daniel, so if anybody wants to email me, I don't mind.
That's great. Okay. Right, so to activate the disposal route in the system, you log in as admin. Is my screen being shown at the moment?
Yeah, it is.
Great. You log in as admin. You go to control assets. And within control assets, here we go. So, under normal circumstances, when somebody adds an asset to Warpit, it goes into the marketplace and everybody can see it and claim it. But what you can also do is you can switch on this disposal facility and specify a disposal email. And then what that means is when someone goes to add an item, they will then have to describe whether they want the item to be reused or it was to be repaired. Let me just show you that. So item type, giveaway, loan, dispose. So that it can go off for disposal. Now, so that would then go to the specific email address where it can go off for repair, refurbishment. I did actually think that it said for repair and refurbishment, but maybe I'm wrong. I can't be wrong. Let me just check that. Yeah, I used to say that anyway. Anyway, we could make it say that again. So that's what exists at the minute, So depending on how things develop, we can improve that so that it grabs all the data that you need, and then to send it on to your third party or whether it's in house or not. Has anybody got any questions about that? Okay, so what do people see as the barriers to repair at the moment? What's stopping your organisation repairing assets at the moment, Sean? And then Joe?
It's staff and time to do it. Our estates department is very, very busy at the moment with lots of sort of urgent jobs not relating to furniture and equipment.
Yeah.
And there's very limited time for them to do anything as far as that's concerned. What I am hoping to do is get my staff, because we operate a waste transfer station, so we're quite unique in the NHS, and my staff at times, obviously outside of COVID, do have some downtime, and they are quite interested in doing some repairs, but I think it's probably going to be a while in the future before we can implement something like that.
Yeah, so that's great. So what I'd say, Sean, is it's almost like people are at a stage where they need to make a business case for repair, isn't it? Where, if you could collect the evidence that repairs needed, like, taking photos of assets that could have been repaired in the skip, or how much you're spending with your third-party contractor, you can start to build up a picture of, the lost value, and then you make your sort of case for, give us some more time, some more resources to be able to do this.
We'd also struggle again with the space element, though. Yes. That's probably the overarching thing, I think, like everybody else, unfortunately, because as it is, I'm almost taking over the whole of the estates yard with waste stuff, so there's not very much space left for anybody to do anything, so that is one of the biggest issues, I think.
Yeah, got you. And that's the same for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Joe?
Sorry, just trying to figure out how to unmute myself.
Yeah, all the same.
So at Broomfield, we're sort of part of the 3 sites, Basel and Broomfield Southend. So I'm working quite closely with Christopher Webb, who's the sustainability lead over at Southend, but he covers the 3 sites. We haven't actually got at Broomfield. We've got the space at the moment, and I kind of have somehow just managed to fall into a role where I'm kind of helping sustainability, but it's not actually my role, but it's kind of taken a life of its own. So at the moment we've got storage, we've got space, and we're trying to repair as much as we can. But so we've got a similar issue where the guys have got other stuff to do. We have had the team help out, but like for instance, we've actually been starting to pull the porters. I think it needs to also be a little bit of a mindset where the porters who are taking the things to be destroyed actually maybe a bit more of an eye over it and just seeing exactly, because we're pulling a lot of stuff out of the skip, taking it out to the stores and repairing it.
Okay.
So we're doing a lot of repairs actually.
This sounds great.
We haven't actually got a repair shop or anything like that. We just kind of have got quite a big storage room, and we're just taking bench seating. We had like 20 bench seats, so we've kind of managed to make 5 good ones out of the 20 and left the shelves there. And we're doing a lot of upcycling, but kind of just off our own back, not actually having any experience with it, or we're just kind of common sense repairs kind of thing. So I think at the moment we're trying to, educating on what could actually be, because it's staggering how much stuff is being chucked out before I can even get to it. It's sort of it's like a one-man crusade at the moment.
This sounds really good, Joe. Are you tracking what you're repairing and putting a value against it, and then reporting that to the to the management?
So at the moment, we've got anything that we've repaired, anything that we get that we feel that could be reused, goes straight on Warpit. So it's been documented on Warpit, but nothing that's coming. Hasn't come up with a plan for management at the moment. At the moment, we're kind of doing it off sort of voluntarily, because it's not really the role that I'm employed, but I got asked to manage the storeroom, and then that in turn has now led to me getting calls and text and emails regarding, have I got this, can I get this, can I do that, can I do this, can I collect this, and it's kind of like it's just taken a life of its own. So at the moment we're just trying to keep our head above water just on the stuff that we've got, but it would be good to get some sort of plan together to present to management, because they'll be staggered at how much stuff we've prepared and saved and what we've got left to do. So
this just sounds like one of those activities that you just do because you said it was common sense, but like that don't get recognised. So it's kind of a lost pat on the back and a high five for you and the people who are doing the job. So I'd say just start logging what you've done, and once you put it through Warbit, you can see how much money and carbon you've saved, and that could feed in that can feed into your report. It would be good if we could get if I could speak you off on the side, Joe, and we could do a little case study about this, because what you're doing there is pretty rare, and you know that it could be the start of some learning for others.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. No, happy to touch base at some point after the meeting or whenever you're free. That's great.
I'll just drop you an email. And we'll have a chat about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No worries. Anyone from the NHS want to talk about repairing of disability aids? Does it happen, or is it not happening in your trust?
Our trusts are quite risk averse, and they don't want to do that at the moment. But I'm not leaving it. I will be continuing to push it with them.
Yeah, is that the main issue around
liability?
So items might fail in their second life.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some sort of warranty or guarantee or stress test or whatever. Yeah, got you.
The option is there is a local company, a mobility aid company, who we could effectively give the items to, and then they potentially would accept the liability element of it because they check them and refurbish them.
Yeah.
Again, because we potentially haven't got the space to store on site, but it would still mean we wouldn't obviously get the benefit of it. They would, but at least we wouldn't be actually disposing of the items. We would be sending them for reuse. So that's another option for me to explore at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to do one monster business case for storage, don't you?
It's not a case of a business case, Daniel. We literally
just haven't got it. Yeah. Well,
maybe if we get a new hospital, we'd be all right.
Yeah. There is. I mean, just on this issue, I am hearing of customers who are now renting space off site for reuse of furniture. You know, that's happening now.
We did do that, but the closest sort of industrial type estate, we've literally just released the lease of a place we were using, but it was horrendously expensive.
Yeah, that's
and then you've got to get it there and back as well. We weren't doing that, and they've had to sort of pull out from it to save money. So unfortunately.
Is anybody repairing disability aids with success that you know? Anybody? Tumbleweed. Scott, you got your hand up there? Or was that from before?
Yeah, sorry, that was from slightly earlier on there. I just realised that was still up. We're lucky to have the space that we do. So for us, I think the biggest current barriers is getting the buy-in from everybody in advance. For example, I've got some fantastic pictures now that I'm going to run through Warpit as a dummy run just to get some pricing on it. But initially, it was a decant from Office Space and Department Moves, where the space planning team are off-site and working from home, requested portering to clear a couple of floors of two buildings. Much of the furniture ended up at our storage facility, but probably in the region of 60 to 80 chairs, desks, cupboards, tambour units were sitting out in the rain beside the skips, waiting on them being emptied to get shifted again because there physically was no storage. And again, that was just advanced planning and getting the buy-in from the space planning team to know about these moves in advance, so we could either plan internal space for temporary storage or find external partners. One of the issues that we're having at the moment, though, is with that overflow. Although we've got the storage space and it's fantastic, the hope is over the course of next year get additional space, pallet racking, and have more room to actually store materials. It's finding external third parties. So I think I'm trying to build the network there. There's a lot of great community enterprises across Glasgow and Scotland in general that are able to take things, but because of everybody's favourite COVID and the pandemic, a lot of the sort of larger bulk sort of office furniture, second-hand and reuse places aren't able to take anything because a lot of stuff's already been sent to them, so their spaces are full. So it's going to be a case of trying to nurture that community and get a hold of those links to try and build up a bit of capacity so we can use it going forward.
So we can help you there. We can help you there. Obviously, we've got like the Glasgow Social Enterprise Network on the system already, so we can have a chat after this. Louise, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I did. You were mentioning, does anybody fix any disability aids and whatever? It's just to say that in Aberdeenshire we do have the Joint Equipment Centre, and they do exactly that. But It is just for stuff that the occupational health put out. So it's like crutches and whatnot.
Yeah.
They do that all the time, and it's an in-house thing with an Aberdeenshire council.
Yeah.
But I don't know the full. I haven't been there for an awfully long time, so I'm sure they did some beds as well, and just things come in and they get fixed and repaired and checked and disinfected and whatnot, and then go back out again to the next person.
Yeah.
That needs them. So.
Could you do an introduction for me over email, and I can have a chat with them and maybe do a case study and sort of bring them into this?
Yeah, I was thinking because I could get Joel to speak to you about it because he's been there more recently. So
yeah,
he loved it obviously because it's repaired and everything.
Mr. Circular Economy.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of it, but yeah, it's just to say that one exists. So.
Great.
Louise, that sounds kind of familiar to my sister actually works for Perth Council, and she works in the gel store there, and it sounds very similar to what they're doing. It's shipping things out for home help and aids there that ultimately do come back in, so they go through the same process. I don't know, Daniel, if Perth City Council are still quite active on work. I know they used to be historically way back. I don't know if they're really still into that.
No.
Certainly that kind of area is probably a bit more applicable. There's probably less risk involved in taking items back in and giving them a good clean down and just safety checking over before they go back out again, rather than full medical devices in a hospital setting. But yeah, probably it's there.
Aye, let's just say that one exists. So there's something.
Great. Thanks. Well, anyone got anything else to say? I'm gonna just wrap up with like sort of advice if you want to start exploring this. But before I do, has anyone got any observations or challenges around this? As well, we're all in the room and we can discuss it. Okay.
Can you get us more space?
Yeah, space is the big one, isn't it? I don't know whether you know or not, but like the reason why it's called warp it, right? And this is really tenuous. So no one's got any space, no one's got any time. So space and time warp. You know, that's where it all came from. But what I'd say, guys, we're all at the start of the journey with this, the repair bit. You know, it's kind of like what reuse was, like 8 years ago. And we're just moving our way up that sort of triangle of priority, getting to up the waste hierarchy. So what I'd say to you, my advice would be, is to just start to collect evidence of items that could have been repaired, and photographic evidence, and then start to share that with, the people in the organisation who can do something about that. And you don't need to, you don't need to do a guilt trip on them. You just start to share it and saying, look, here's an opportunity that we missed. And it's not just the general waste skip, right? It's like, look in the electrical skip. Look what you're giving to your waste electrical company, and the value of what's in there. That's where the big value is in the IT end. And then once you start to collect that photographic evidence, you can then start to put some numbers on it. And I think you're probably gonna be like getting some really significant savings possible if you can repair as well as reuse. And I always say this. You're taking your stakeholders and your peers on like on a circular economy journey. So you're going, you're sorting out reuse now, repairs next. So you just take them along, and you can use the benefits and the gains that you've made with your reuse program, and use that and extrapolate it to show them what could be done with repair as well. So if you were taking anything from this meeting, what I'd say is just start collecting that evidence of items that needed to be repaired, and don't just remember it's not just about furniture; it's about devices as well. So I really appreciate your time, and I hope that was a useful 30 minutes. Would anybody got anything else to say? Any questions? Any comments on this format of sharing ideas? I think this is something I'm going to continue to do. I think we'll do one and explore storage at some time soon. Let's make that January. And then, if there's any subjects that you do want to explore, just, drop me an email and we can do like a similar workshop. So yeah, I hope that was good use of time for you. I really appreciate you coming along. It's really nice to talk to you all. And have a great week. Speak to you soon. And happy Christmas if I don't see you before then. All the best. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Same to you. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.